And in business news, China putting the emphasis on support for firms and workers as it hammers out its approach to an escalating trade war with the United States. One of the highest level decision-making bodies in Beijing, that's the Politburo, releasing a statement after its regular meeting, promising an all-out effort to ensure economic and societal stability. Policymakers also urging preparation for, quote, worst-case scenarios. The Politburo's meetings typically set the tone for the quarter and rarely reveal numerical goals, but they are closely watched for important clues on policy shifts. The decision-making body's meeting coming just as Beijing dismissed Washington's claims that talks on tariffs or lowering tariffs are ongoing. The Foreign Ministry reiterating that no such discussions are taking place and noting that it was not familiar with media reports suggesting that China was considering tariff exemptions on some U.S. goods.
中美双方并没有就关税问题进行磋商或谈判，美方不要混淆视听。关于你提到的第二个问题，我不了解你提到的具体情况，建议你向中方的主管部门进行询问。
And for more, Yew Guan joins us live from Shanghai. Yew Guan, that statement from the Politburo, this is just a regular meeting, but how would you read this statement from China's Politburo?
Well, the China's Politburo meeting, I think the key thing that came out of that meeting is that Beijing is doubling down on its strategy to enhance domestic consumption as a growth driver. It noted that it would vigorously develop the consumption of services in particular, and it called for the removal of measures that restrict such consumption. Now, these details were not previously mentioned. It also vowed to efforts to increase the earnings of low and middle income groups. Now, this is in line with what many experts have been calling for in this campaign to boost consumption, given the theory that every dollar given to the lower income groups has a percentage boost their incomes more, as well as their consumer confidence far more than, say, for example, giving to the same dollar to those who are richer, who won't feel the boost and will likely save the money. So while they did not give specifics on how to boost incomes, there are tools at the government's disposal. Experts have been calling for increasing pensions, for example, of the rural elderly poor, which would have knock-on effects on their children's spending, many of whom are migrant workers in the urban areas. Now, back to the meeting. The meeting also called repeated calls for a proactive fiscal policy and a moderately loose monetary policy, both already stated policies since last year. Besides mere firefighting, the meeting also called for work to be done to cultivate pillar industries. Now, this includes introducing Science Tech Board in the bond market and to speed up the implementation of the so-called AI Plus initiative. Now, the AI Plus initiative was first announced last December in the government work report. It is a strategy to boost, to integrate artificial intelligence into various sectors of the economy, particularly manufacturing and the digital economy. Wei Su?
Oh, Yew Guan, something that will certainly boost consumption, domestic consumption, and certainly boost sentiment as well, is if companies did not have to face those high tariffs that China has imposed on U.S. imports, largely in retaliation. So reports suggesting from the Beijing-based American Chamber of Commerce suggesting that some firms saying that they have been able to bring in certain items without having to pay those tariffs. China, we heard earlier from the Minister of Foreign Affairs saying they're not familiar with these reports. They cannot confirm them. Can you confirm them?
Unfortunately, Wei Su, I can't really confirm them. What I do know is that that remark about those pharmaceutical products actually came from the president of the Beijing-based American Chamber of Commerce during an online media press conference. It says that what he essentially said was that the AmCham members have reported being able to import specific drugs without tariffs. But it's specific drugs and not sector-wide, he emphasized. Now, meanwhile, there are also reports of exemptions on semiconductors, citing 3 import agencies in Shenzhen, with another report from Beijing citing anonymous sources. But the citing's report was later removed. Meanwhile, there were also news of lifting of levies on plane leases, chemicals as well as chemicals, also coming from unnamed sources, apparently close to the deliberations. Now, in a way, it's not unthinkable that China would consider exemptions for medical equipment and drugs, given its impact on medical costs and saving lives, especially if there aren't other alternatives. As for exemptions on industrial chemicals and semiconductors, if confirmed, these are clearly moves to ease the pain for manufacturers, chemicals for the plastic industries and semiconductors for the electronics manufacturing. Now, likewise, exemption of plane leases, because tariffs would double the cost of leasing planes and ruin many domestic carriers which have very thin margins to begin with. That said, I need to emphasize that for now, there are no official confirmation from Chinese authorities regarding the implementation of these tariff exemptions. However, the reports do come 2 days after the Vice Minister of Commerce met with foreign companies in China to discuss the impact of those tariffs. Wei Su?
Oh, thanks, Yew Guan there, helping us read Beijing's messages ahead of possibly what Donald Trump has touted as talks taking place on lowering tariffs between the two sides. No confirmation yet from China whether those talks are in fact taking place. Yew Guan there from Shanghai.